We begin our service with lighting the chalice. If you'll join me, please. The words are in your order of service. Our chalice is a symbol of our commitment to each other and to ourselves. We light it today as a gathered community that we understand more completely and act more boldly and hope more fiercely.
That's my first time.
You need to be coordinated for this.
Pat, if you would please. Good morning, everyone. This song is by Tom Prasada Rao and Tom Kimmel. And it was made famous by Randy Travis, who recorded a version of it. If I met you on the corner, would I know you as you are? Would I take you for a stranger and brush past you in the door? If you called me, would I hear you? Would I walk away too soon? If I lingered for a moment, would I see myself in you? If I fought you as a soldier, if I had you in my sight, would you ask me to remember who imagined I was right? If you witnessed my surrender, do I know what I would do? If you held me like my brother, would I see myself in you. Well, I dreamed my end was near. I was almost gone. If I dream that dream from here, can I still come home? If you called me, would I hear you? Do I know what I would do? If you held me like my lover, would I see myself in you? If you held me like my mother, would I see myself in you?
Thank you, Pat. We are particularly gifted and blessed to have Pat Wictor with us today. He was here last night and broke open our hearts and poured kindness into our souls. And it was a special gift to have and to experience. And Pat, I personally want to thank you for that, for myself, and I think as well for those of you who were able to be here and those of you who are here now that might even happen again. Looking forward to that. So I want to make welcome those of you who are guests and visitors. You have found your way into a place of kindness and grace, hope and openness, in which you might be able to experience a certain kind of fellowship that maybe is unusual to you. But this is a place where you are welcome, whoever you are, however you are, whoever you love, and in the way that you live your life, you are welcome here. There will be no request for you to change anything, but to just keep loving each other. That's a part of who we are and what will take place here. So those of you who are guests, I'm going to ask a favor of you. If you would please take the yellow card that's in the pocket in front of you and fill it out. And when the collection plate is passed, if you would put that filled out yellow card into the collection plate, that would be helpful for us just to know that you're here. Please do so. And you also should know that if you're filling out a yellow card, that means that you are a first or second time visitor with us. And we would then be asking you to let the plate pass in terms of giving a monetary gift. Your presence here is your gift to us this morning. Those of you who are first or second time visitors, if you're willing, I'm going to ask if you would be willing to stand and give us your name and tell us where you're from, because somebody else in the room is from there too, down here in the Low Country. So I'm going to look at the section that's on my far right. If there's any first or second time visitors that's willing to introduce yourself. And in the middle section, any first or second time. Thank you.
Martin Eric Henry, Sarasota UU. Also Rockland, Maryland UU. We're on our way back.
Welcome. We're glad we can be an oasis for you, a start off. Ken, if you would, please.
Fenside from New Jersey. I moved down here about 5 years ago, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Good. Thank you, Ken. Glad you're here. Anybody else in the middle? My far left, your far right. First or second time visitors. Those of you that have made your way here, you will find this place to be warm and welcoming. When you go from here, I hope that you'll be asking yourself a question: is this really real? Or is this something they put on just on my benefit? We're real, and you're welcome here in this place. What do you think? Can you get it up? Yeah. That's the cleanup crew. They were out here for 4 hours or more together with the church that we share, the Hispanic church that shares our facilities. They too were out here with serious power washer stuff that were helping this place look good together. That's our cleanup crew. Thank them for donating a lot of hours and a lot of hot sun. And some of them even came back for Pat's show last night, which was even more of a miracle, Pat, just so you know. And so we thank them. If you see them, just pat them on the back and thank them for their time. And we're still looking for a person to be in charge of our cleanup crew. That's your team. You got one right. I'm just saying. We continue to need nursery attendants. It does take a village. And so is Ann Harrison in here? She's back with her. Ann, yeah, if you are willing to help with the nursery, talk to Ann. Thank you very much. We're also looking for those who are willing to host our ministers who travel. If you're willing to do so, we would love to talk with you about that. We're looking for a few more greeters. Your responsibilities are high and demanding. You need a smile. And if you got one, you're qualified. So if you would please, we would like to know about that. So this is a notice about those of you who have some musical abilities or even musical handicaps. Today, after talkback, Pat will have a talkback. After talkback, I'm asking those of you who have some musical abilities that you might like to see used to encourage the spiritual nature and spiritual character of Unitarian Universalist Church of the Congregation of the Low Country. If you have that, I would like to ask you to stay. I will have pizza brought in, and there'll be Pepsis and good time. So all we're going to do is talk. You don't have to bring any particular lessons with you or instruments with you. So if you would like to stay, we'll start as soon as we begin to break up from the talk back. And we'll talk for a little bit, about an hour or so. And I also want you to know, Pat, I hear that you have some musical skills as well too, and you are welcome to stay if you like. Okay, very good. That'd be sweet. Thank you so much. I need a show of hands for those of you that will be willing to stay for this musical gathering. Way high, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, goodness, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, there we go. So thank you so much. There's some announcements that have come to me a little bit late. One of them is from Rosemary, and this concerns the handwriting letter campaign. SCUJA has asked that we begin a handwritten letter campaign opposing the redistricting of the state of South Carolina. And while this is just now beginning to unfold, we found out about this about 8:30 this morning, so this is really kind of hot news. So there's going to be a time in which we will gather somehow to write letters to our leaders, asking that they not do this redistricting, and that we move forward in the kind of way that they're. So we're gonna have some stuff. Going to meet in the Claire Barton room after the talk back to those of you that have questions. There are not a lot of answers, but we can begin to find out where we can find them. Okay? All right. Thank you. And also, one of our dear sweet people, Marcella, will be performing with her partner, Ryan. They were with us at Easter. Perhaps you might meet them, might remember them. They will be performing at the Hidden Cypress Pool on Wednesday, May 20th from 4 to 6. Is that right?
Sun City.
In Sun City from 4 to 6. Okay. The only other thing I want to do is remind you that the Native American tribes who were and are the original stewards of this land in Bluffton were the Kusabo, the Escamaku, and the Yamasee. May their names never be forgotten. Where are we next here? Yes, the opening hymn. Pat, you want to have your opening words?
Yes, I've got them right here.
Would please, that would be helpful.
This morning's opening words were written by Rod Richards. We who gather here in this tender and anxious and confusing time, we have been awash in a sea of information and misinformation and disinformation. And this information that we seek is simply so that we may make wise decisions about how we respond and learn how we hold one another when we can't hold one another, and decide how we can be when we can't be together. What is this we face? How best do we respond? And why is this happening? The why, the why, the why. And why do those who suffer so suffer most, always suffer most from what we now face? Why? And what can we do for those who were most at risk, most vulnerable all the time, and now again? How do we respond, and how do we hold one another when we can't hold one another? And how do we stay together and stick together and worship together when we can't be together? Yet we are. Here we are. We are here together. The first hymn is by Billy Joel, that great hymn writer. And some of you may have heard this song before, but I thought we would go through the chorus because that's the part we're going to sing together. Honesty, honesty, sorry. It's just so hard to play. Let's, okay, all right, now I remember. Honesty is such a lonely word. And those of you who have lower voices, honesty is such a lonely word. Everyone is so untrue. Everyone is so untrue. Everyone is so untrue. Honesty is hardly ever heard, and mostly what I need from you. You guys have the hang of it. Okay. If you search for tenderness, it isn't hard to find. You can have the love you need to live. But if you look for truthfulness, you might as well be blind. It always seems to be so hard to give. Honesty is such a lonely word. Everyone is so untrue. Honesty is hardly ever heard, and mostly what I need from you. I can always find someone to to say they sympathize if I wear my heart out on my sleeve. But I don't want some pretty face to tell me pretty lies. All I want is someone to believe. Honesty is such a lonely word. Everyone is so untrue. Honesty is hardly ever heard, and mostly what I need from you. Nice job.
We want to thank everybody who's brought in a food donation and left it on the back table. And we want to encourage everyone to remember that on a weekly basis. You bring in your food donations, check the expiration date, because we don't want them to have to throw it out when we take it to the food pantry on Hilton Head and the Bluffton Self-Help. And now we'll contribute to our church to support the work that we do within and without these walls. We'll pass the basket, and remember, if you're a first or second time visitor, please let the basket pass, except for the yellow cards. Thank you.
Give a little bit, give a little bit of your love to me. I give a little bit, give a little bit of my love to you. There's so much that we need to share, so send a smile and show you care. Give a little bit, I give a little bit of my life to you. So give a little bit, give a little bit of your time to me. See the man with the lonely eyes, oh, take his hand, you'd be surprised. Give a little bit, give a little bit of your love to me. I give a little bit, give a little bit of my life for you. Now's the time that we need to share, so find yourself, we're on our way back home.
Thank you for that, Pat, and thank you for your generosity.
Hello, and now is the time of the service when we share our joys and concerns. The reason we share our joys is so that we can make everybody else happy, and the reason we share our concerns is so that other people can help us to bear our burdens. We ask a couple of things. Number one, please keep them brief, and number two, as hard as it is to do, please no political statements.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't remember how I did it. It's only, I looked at the camera and I'm like, I don't think I did it from there.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm still waking up this morning. I was up too late. So good morning. Wonderful to see you all. My first joy is for this lady right here. My friend and my other friends who've been helping me replace a few things in my new home. And I was so excited to get a flat baking sheet last night when I put it away. So thank you so much. And the other joy is for this great human being I have in my life, and her name is Irene Abigail, and she's turning 2 tomorrow, but we're celebrating today. And so you may know Abby. We have a little cake out here. If you sing to her now, she won't hear it because she's in the nursery. So if you want to stick around and we can just all join in, I'm sure she'd love it and clap and everything, after service when we have the coffee. So please stick around. So my joy is for her in my life. She's a wonderful human being that came down from me from, I guess, up there somewhere. So thank you so much.
Good morning, I'm Clay. I have a great joy. Yesterday, 23 of you came out to clean up the church. It was beautiful just to watch people go to different spots, show their energy, do the picture. It was really cool, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now, the current concern side. We have been announcing this leadership opportunity for quite a while. And I know there's someone out here right now that's willing to step up and just do a cleanup once in a while. So if you're interested in sharing the Building and Grounds group, we'll start out slow, we'll help you along, but we need someone to step up. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rosemary. And $1,000. $1,000. Repeat after me. $1,000. We are being given, UA or Scuja is being given per congregation in South Carolina to participate in the Get Out the Vote campaign for this next 6 months. They want us to do something other than writing letters or in addition to writing letters. They are wanting us to come up with creative ideas like banners or stickers that say, I have checked my voter registration, have you? In both Spanish and English. A lot of different kinds of things to do this year instead of those boring postcards that do cost a lot of money because the postage stamp is now close to $1. Anyway, we're going to talk about this right afterwards, about 10 minutes in the Clara Barton room. So if you're interested in participating, please join me. Even if you're not, please come and see me, and we can talk about it and other things for a few minutes, and then come here to the music, because we're all going to be singing in music and playing recorders and things like that. So looking forward to seeing you after the meeting, after the service. Give it to you. I get it here.
Good morning. I'm Greg. You are UU, and I thank you for that, because I had asked a couple weeks ago about my sister. All right, I can shout also, but whatever. But my oldest sister, went into the hospital on an emergency to have a pacemaker placed. It turned into an 8-day trauma, and she's now home. She's safe. She just had a lot of complications, and our family was trying to put everything together to get her home as quick as possible, but all of us had just other plans that kind of interfered that couldn't be changed and everything else. But she had some great friends. I received a couple cards in the mail from members here, and also a couple phone calls. And my sister, I informed her of how the congregation was thinking about her, and she wanted me to personally thank everyone for their concern, because she's very grateful of it, and she just said, this is the way to go.
I thought it was a heart. It's okay. Hi, I'm Diana. I just wanted to say I have a joy that I have a friend named Ken who's here today for the first time. So we want to make him feel welcome and at home here. A lot of people have already done that, and I'm very grateful. So, feel free. He's easygoing and easy to talk to. This is Ken right here. He introduced himself before. He's a musician. Yay! We love musicians, and he decided to stay. So I'm very happy about that. But I also have a concern for Ken's father. He's 88 years old. He's in the hospital right now. He has some health issues, and you know how that is. As we get older, we need a little bit more assistance with our medical issues. So, concern for your dad, who I love very much. He's a great human being, like Sarah said, great human, and my joy. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Wendy. I don't often do this, but I just wanted to share the joy of relationships. My older daughter is in Indianapolis attending a wedding. My younger daughter is in Washington, D.C. attending a law school graduation of a friend she met while she was in Italy. And my husband is with his friends from second grade attending a ball game in Philadelphia. And just to the power and spirit of maintaining relationships over the years, it's just fuel for our heart.
Good job.
Anybody wondering where Betsy is this morning? Okay, that's why I'm up here. She's fine. She has another engagement today, so I left her at home. Someone's going to pick her up. So anyway, she's fine, and it's good to be here.
I'm going to make this quick. I have actually two joys. My first joy is my sister is here again visiting with me, and we are continuing to be a house of laughs, okay? And the second joy is Wendy. Last week, Wendy had this beautiful dress on. And, I'm going away with Mary. We're going to Greece in about 2 or 3 weeks. And I saw that dress that Wendy had on. I said, oh, Wendy, I love that dress. I want that dress. I was kind of half serious, half joking, sort of thing. But anyways, Wendy brought the dress in for me today, for me to wear when I go to Greece. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kat. I have kind of a downer, actually. I'm sorry. but this is for my mom. And I guess for me too. My aunt is in hospice right now. I shared about a year ago, I think, that she had some GI issues and those never really recovered. And so oh man, it was Monday. She had a very significant stroke and she's now in hospice care. So we're just kind of waiting for next steps. And we all know what those next steps are. And my mom is there and I'll be going when I get the call. And yeah, just my mom and my parents and my aunt also all believe in the power of prayer. And so I believe in the power of positive vibes, which is very similar. You know, I think that all of our thoughts and vibes, I guess, have healing powers, for lack of a better term. So any of that y'all can think of and send to my family would be great. I know my mom she's in like go mode, but it's all gonna come down. So yeah, that's all. Thank you.
I'll place 2 stones in the cairn for all the joys and concerns that remain within our hearts, and also 1 stone in the vase for all the children and families who are affected by gun violence. I'm back. Thank you. If you please read with me the affirmation, it is in your order of service. I live my life to my values. I stay true to who I am, even when it's not easy. I am responsible for what I say and do. I create trust through integrity and consistent action. I speak the truth with care.
Hello, everybody. I just want to start by saying I am so grateful to all of you for lending me a little bit of your time and your ears and making me feel so welcome. I really, really appreciate it. Is that a little better? I suppose I could hunch. Anyway, Brian, we could make it a little bit louder. I'll scoot in a little closer. How's this? Okay. So the topic today is good and bad faith. And as I often do when I have something to say from a pulpit, I mostly have questions and not very many answers. So I'm not going to have any handy tips for you all necessarily. But I was hoping to share some thoughts and some questions that may help us at least to think about, the circumstance we find ourselves in, which is that, we're in a time when bad faith is a big part of public life and part of the world that we're in. I read an article recently on Substack by a guy named Jim Stevenson. It was titled Bad Faith, America's Existential Crisis. And it got me thinking about, this was, if you want to look it up, by the way, it was dated October 28th, 2025. It got me thinking about good versus bad faith and the thorny problems that arise from them. How do we practice good faith when so many act in bad faith? How do we keep our integrity when there are so many ways to abandon it? How do we know when bad faith has become a part of our interaction with someone? And what do we do about it? These are questions that I'll try to at least address, if not answer. The Oxford Online Dictionary says faith is either complete trust or confidence in someone or something, or strong belief in the doctrines of a religion based on spiritual conviction rather than proof. I'm guessing the folks at Oxford probably don't know any Unitarian Universalists. Otherwise, they may have found a different way to say that. So, in any case, the common element seems to be a willingness to assume the best of people, the best of doctrines, the best of things, the best of organizations. Good faith is closely related to this quality of faith. Good faith is honesty or sincerity of intention. When we believe someone's acting in good faith, we're assuming the best of them. We believe they're acting out of sincerity, without ulterior motives, being fair and honest. Bad faith is the negation of all of that and is synonymous often with lying and fraud. So I'm just going to paraphrase a nice excerpt from Stevenson here because I think it's worth looking at. So what Stevenson says is, faith comes from the Latin fides, which means fidelity, a foundational Roman virtue meaning reliability, integrity, and keeping one's promises. Good faith, bona fides, was part of Roman law and meant trustworthiness in legal transactions. For the Romans, fides was not belief, but fidelity, the sacred duty to honor one's word. To live without good faith was to live without honor, which for a Roman would be a terrible thing. Civilization requires good faith interactions to retain its structure. Legal contracts enforce good faith by law. Political and social contracts only work on the basis of honest dealing. With the rise of Christianity and later the Crusades, instead of describing a covenant with others, the word faith began to describe an allegiance to a specific deity. And with that shift, the burden of moral decision-making also shifted away from individuals and instead was attributed to God. Unquestioned faith in a singular person or being turns free will from an active to a diminished role in the human conscience. External allegiance becomes a major rationale for action. The will is transformed from the will to be a better person into the will to be a better servant of the deity. There's only obeying God or disobeying God. You decide. That's kind of the point of view that leads to the things like the Crusades. So in many ways, the project of Enlightenment philosophers, many of whom were religious themselves, was to return faith and moral choice back to the individual. They saw honor, truth, and reason as crucial building blocks of moral governance and civil society. It was the singular achievement of the Enlightenment that they re-engineered the world to operate on the basis of good faith instead of religious faith in the Oxford Dictionary kind of definition. So this is all a paraphrase of what Stevenson had to say in his article. So in our everyday lives, the most glaring examples of bad faith are easy to spot, right? We have an endless supply of them from the news. Spotting bad faith is usually a two-step process. Somebody says they're doing one thing or offers an explanation that seems suspect, and then you check their work. And you find evidence that they're misrepresenting or concealing part of the whole story or just outright lying. It's not limited, by the way, to one part of the political spectrum. A quick scan of most social media cancellation mobs of the right or the left will show you a river of bad faith, invective, accusations, and arguments. What requires vigilance and a careful response is when bad faith is employed in the exercise of power. And power is often exercised through organizations and institutions. So, looking at ICE and the Justice Department, it happens repeatedly that ICE uses excessive or deadly force and then blames a victim for their excessive or deadly force, accusing them of violence against ICE officers. More times than we can count, when ICE does this, their account is soon proved false. There's the case of Sydney Reed, who was filming an ICE raid in Washington, D.C., when an ICE officer attacked and arrested her. She was accused of assaulting a federal agent. 3 separate grand juries refused to indict her. The D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office, led by Jeanine Pirro, then refiled misdemeanor charges, which you don't need a grand jury for. They wanted to make something stick on this woman. Sydney Reed was acquitted after a 3-day trial. These actions of the Justice Department and of ICE call into question the good faith and the competence and the priorities of 2 very powerful arms of the federal government. When an organization's members exhibit a consistent pattern of bad faith, it's sensible at a minimum to consider that bad faith is now a part of the policy or the culture of that organization. So here's where it starts to get complicated. Do we then attribute bad faith to every last person that works for that organization? There are probably ICE officers who aren't beating people up or shooting people, who are not leveling false accusations of assaulting federal agents, who are trying their level best to do the job they were told to do in good faith, which is to apprehend people without proper documents and detain them for further proceedings. If you work for an organization, a powerful government agency that operates in bad faith, how do you personally work in good faith? If there are such officers, I feel for them. They're in a real bind. For everyone else who deals with ICE officers, can we presume bad faith actions from each and every one of them? I don't have a satisfactory answer. In my mind, I sort of, think of this as the question of, the moderate Taliban or the good Nazis or the, is there such a thing? And I can't give you an answer to that. But I think we're on slippery ground if we just say, those people all belong to that organization, they're all bad, we can't trust any of them. I think that's not a fully moral stance either. The administration of justice, by definition, requires a commitment to good faith. The Justice Department has now seen an exodus of experienced attorneys who aren't willing to work for an organization that has made bad faith an operating principle. I've seen also articles showing that, for example, there's this term called the presumption of regular order, which is that when prosecutors are in court, they are assumed to be representing their charges in good faith until, the trial portion where they have to prove their charges. But what's happened now is that so many attorneys from the Justice Department have lied and misrepresented their position in court that judges are now challenging every assertion of fact that they make in court. They are assuming that the Justice Department is lying, which is an extraordinary development, and is probably one of the reasons that so many lawyers are resigning from justice. Good faith or bad faith is a choice. In the civil rights movement, one of the models, which was one of the models of successful nonviolent resistance. The leaders of that movement framed segregation and the countless bad faith acts that went with it as moral choices. And because it was a choice, the segregationist leaders were continually offered the option of choosing differently. Their humanity was reaffirmed and appealed to over and over and over again. You don't have to do your worst. You don't have to do it. While it doesn't often change people's actions, it changed something important for the civil rights movement. It boosted their moral authority. They modeled good faith. They also weren't just appealing to the better angels of segregationist leaders. They were inviting everyone who followed those leaders, who went along with it, who rationalized it, to change their minds. Over time, some did. Most of them just a little bit. But don't underestimate how important that is. When people change their minds, they don't often completely change their minds. Most people change their minds just a little bit. And a lot of people changing their minds a little bit has a major impact. By recognizing the humanity of people who did their worst and in bad faith, the civil rights movement showed that they were a movement of relationship, of repair, of restoration, and not revenge. How about an organization that, instead of being malicious, is simply indifferent? Try finding a human being to sort out a customer service problem on the phone. I often encounter somebody when I do get a person, instead of one of those menus, or my favorite now is the AI helper on the phone. Hi, I'll help you. There's no I there. There's not an actual person. This is a minor digression, but I'm just going to say this. There's no such thing as artificial intelligence. There isn't any such thing. The things that are called AI right now, it's basically a giant database with a very powerful search engine to pull out data from that database, and then attached to it is a parrot. It's a parrot that mimics human speech, but there's no actual person there. There's no entity. There's nothing there that thinks. It's simply a series of computer programs that searches and finds things and spits them out in familiar forms. It's not intelligent. There's nothing there. So whenever some little recorded AI voice says, I can help you, I say, oh, no, you can't, because there's no you. I often encounter, when I get a person, somebody who simply is not allowed to or is unable to help me because their organization didn't prepare them to help and doesn't give their staff the authority to help. Let's take Amazon. I have a decades-old Amazon Advantage account through which I used to sell my CDs. Amazon negated my password to get into my account. I hadn't logged in for a long time, and in the meantime, Amazon abandoned Advantage as a program. The customer service reps, when I finally reached one, and by the way, I didn't get them on the phone, I got them on a little chat box. So I'm not even sure there was a person there. I'm somewhat sure, but the customer service rep hadn't even heard of Amazon Advantage. They didn't know what that program was. I couldn't log on after multiple attempts. I couldn't get into my own account using the password that I knew I had. But I still needed to close my account. I want to get rid of this thing. Nobody's buying CDs on it. And it's just my information sitting there, out there on the internet. So I want to close my account. The customer service rep kept telling me that they couldn't close my account, only I could do that, and I could only do it by logging on. And they couldn't help me log on unless I filled out an incident form, which I did. But then the tech reps, the way they follow up on the incident form, you have to log into your account to further follow up on the incident form. So customer service, what ended up happening was I spent 3 days fruitlessly trying to log on to my Amazon account, which of course I'm not insane. I know that doing the same thing over and over again will not produce a different result. Amazon then, after 3 days, sent me a jolly note saying, "We haven't heard from you. The case is resolved." I went through this cycle 3 different times with 3 different reps trying to explain to them that their system was broken, that by expecting the follow-up to take place through my account, I would never be able to log on. It's a catch-22. I never got a solution to this. My Amazon Advantage account is still there, and I still can't close it, and I still can't log on to it. I never spoke to anyone acting with ill intent. These people really wanted to help me, but they were hamstrung. They were stuck in a system that they didn't design themselves and that gave them no possibility of helping me. Amazon, as an organization, simply doesn't care enough to fix this Kafkaesque hall of mirrors that they've set up, nor to fix my original problem. So my question is, when does bureaucratic indifference and disregard for the people being served cross the line into bad faith? Some of this begs the question, of course, the obvious question of who is the responsible party? Certainly not these poor schlubs that I was chatting with. And how do we hold them accountable? Do any of us really, on a moral level, get to pass the buck and say that someone else is the responsible one? Again, I'm throwing this out not because I have an answer, but it does beg this question for all of us too. If we are confronted with systems and institutions that over and over again don't serve us, what's our responsibility to do something about it? Another way that things can get complicated is when falsehoods or misinformation that's been created in bad faith, which misinformation most often is, but not always. Information that's been created in bad faith is believed, repeated, and acted on by people acting in good faith. They really believe it. It's not enough to say that everybody who says something false is acting in bad faith. You all know this, right? I have 2 brothers who are avid fans of Donald Trump. And I can't get 10 seconds into a conversation with them, if it turns to this subject, without them saying something that's just obviously and laughably false. But I can't just say that because they'll just say, well, you have Trump derangement syndrome. You're just repeating talking points. They really believe it. And so the conversation can never engage the falsehood. I still don't know how to do it, honestly. They believe it in good faith. My brothers aren't acting in bad faith. They really believe he's a genius who's playing 4-dimensional chess, and he's a great businessman and all of the other stuff. So, in my opinion, it's important that when people seem to believe what they're saying, you have to credit those people with good faith, even when they're repeating falsehoods. There's no conversation to be had with people acting in bad faith, obviously. We all see this, on social media. People just say terrible things just, for sport. There's no conversation to be had there. But a person repeating bad faith information and arguments in good faith, you can have a conversation with that person. But initially, you're faced with a choice. You can choose to respond to the person's good faith, and for now, not try to rebut their statements. Or you can respond to their information and opinions, but at the expense of the relationship, because that will likely be your last conversation. No relationship, no conversation. So how do we tell good faith from bad faith? There's no litmus test. There's no definitive separator. Everyone's got to make their own assessments and decisions about that. We have to pay attention to context, including the record and pattern of previous interactions. Were they transparent, honest, and straightforward? Were they sincere? Or were they simply attempting to deceive, attempting to manipulate, attempting to get something that wasn't legitimately theirs to get? I'll just say this. It seems important to make distinctions between individuals and groups, and individuals and organizations. An individual's record should be taken separately from the record of groups and organizations. It's a mistake to just attribute bad faith to a whole group of people, and it's even worse to say of an individual, they're part of that group, they're probably operating in bad faith. Of course, somebody with a long record of falsehoods, manipulation, ulterior motives, yes, it's pretty reasonable to assume that their future actions will also be in bad faith. But even having said that, life often brings about reversals of fortune and strange revelations. Who would have thought that so many former members of President Trump's inner circle from his first term, who dutifully repeated his falsehoods, would now be open critics and truth tellers? That doesn't mean that they look at the world the way you and I do. They haven't suddenly, John Bolton hasn't become a liberal. But when possible, we might consider leaving the door open just a crack for some of the people we have good reason not to trust. We need not to seek them out, but to keep an eye on their actions in case they change course. When President Biden was a U.S. Senator, he was known for working amicably with senators he disagreed with, including those of the opposite party. When he was asked about how he did that, he said that his guiding principle was that he would question another person's judgment, but not their motives. In other words, he never assumed that his opponents were operating in bad faith. Now, you could question Biden's judgment in adopting this stance in the face of lots and lots of terrible bad faith politics. But to me, there's a kernel of truth here worth saving. Here's how I would modify it. Never assume someone's operating in bad faith until clearly proven otherwise. If we assume someone's good faith, we affirm their humanity and invite connection and reciprocal trust with them. And if we're going to be part of repairing the social fabric, we're going to have to give people a chance to trust us and to be trusted. As the Enlightenment philosophers understood, we need good faith, honor, truth, and reason, the building blocks of moral governance and civil society, all depend on it. Who better to show the way and to reaffirm these values than us. We're the ones. It isn't going to be anybody else. It's people like us who will stand for good faith. That's all I got. Is it customary to just kind of sit with that for a minute? Okay. All right. Here's another hymn. I ran across this song written by a group of young kids from Dallas, Texas. They're in a band called The Unlikely Candidates. And so the chorus goes like this. And the high road steady and steep, and the high road steady and steep, and the low road's easy and deep, and the low road's easy and deep. Guess I'll follow, follow, follow my feet. Guess I'll follow, follow, follow my feet again. Follow, follow, follow my feet. That's all there is to it. There's a fork in the road in front of me, at the crossroads of identity. The devil's standing to the left. He says either way they both lead to death. Here it comes. And the high road steady and steep, and the low road's easy and deep. Yes, I'll follow, follow, follow my feet. Yes, I'll follow, follow, follow my feet. I got a friend who lies and steals and cheats, always taking more than he can eat. He says to get what I want, I'd probably kill. If I don't take it, somebody else will. And the high road's steady and deep, and the low road's easy and deep. Yes, I'll follow, follow, follow my feet. Yes, I'll follow, follow, follow my feet. I have a friend who loves humanity, braves bullets in war-torn countries. He traded a life of wealth to help the poor and ill. He says if I don't do it, nobody will. And the high road's steady and steep, and the low road's easy and deep. Yes, I'll follow, follow, follow my feet. Yes, I'll follow, on the high road, steady and steep, and the low road's easy and deep. Yes, I'll follow, follow, follow my feet. Yes, I'll follow, follow, follow my feet. Yes, I'll follow, follow, follow my feet. Nice singing. Okay. Our closing words are by Joel Miller. Let our lives be a prayer that waters dry souls, mends broken hearts, refuses to be terrorized, seeks this world's beauty, and carries us through its storms.
As Cheryl comes up to extinguish the chalice, we all want to offer Pat our deepest thanks for his time and his presence here. There will be a talk back shortly after we have a chance to take the sacred coffee. They come back in here, we gather together for a little while. There's a lot that's going to be going on, so please, if you would, gather back and you have a chance to ask that man the questions that you need to have the answers for, right? So thank you for being here, Pat. And Cheryl, if you would, please.
Thank you. We'll close our service by extinguishing our chalice. Please stand if you're willing and able. The words are in your order of service. We extinguish this chalice, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts and souls of every one of us. Together flame as we leave this place and share it with those we know, with those we love, and especially with those we have yet to meet.
You want to sing one more? So. Okay, I sang this last night. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Third line. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. You guys already know this. You say your heart's been turned to stone. You say you want to be left alone. You say love only made you weep and moan. Let me tell you something that you know in your bones. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. You say your soul's like a dry riverbed. Stop waiting for the water long ago. You said you better pray all night for the rain instead. Love comes like a tidal wave over your head. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. You say, waiting for love takes too long. Dulls the sharp mind, weakens the strong. Well, you may be right, but you may be wrong. 'Cause love can make a mountain come tumbling down. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. The river washes over every woman and man, feet in the gravel and mud in your hands. Nothing can stand against love's command. Every boulder turns into a grain of sand. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped.
Take that love out there. We'll see you out there.